Live from Victory Park, this is WFAA News.
Tonight, Governor Greg Abbott is reversing the reopening process he started on May 1st to combat the spike in COVID-19 cases right now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cynthia Seguirre. Chris is off tonight. Let's break down the governor's new executive order. Bars are shut down right now. They can only remain open for takeout and delivery services. As far as restaurants are concerned, they can remain open for dine-in services, but they've been operating at 75% capacity. They've got to roll that back to 50% capacity on Monday. And rafting and tubing businesses, they have to close. Again, Governor Abbott did not say when these new restrictions will be lifted, but this order will impact how business is done, and some bar owners tell us they feel blindsided. So we want to know, what do you think about the governor's executive order? Too little, too late, the right move, or leave the bars open? You can weigh in on WFAA.com/vote now or hit the Vote Now tab on our app. And while you do that, here's Lauren Zakalik.
In the West 7th Entertainment District of Fort Worth, it was last call for bars and their patrons Friday. And Governor Greg Abbott mandating that very morning bars would be closing again as COVID cases skyrocket.
I was like, holy cow, this really is real. It's a pure nightmare. I can't even describe it. Like,
Emil Bragdon owns 3 bars in Fort Worth and 1 in Irving. He said the last closure was brutal, and he feels his industry is being targeted unfairly.
There's still gatherings of people. I mean, even the church too, there's still gatherings of people in masses. Why bars?
Governor Abbott addressed part of that in a press release Friday, saying at this time it is clear that the rise in cases is largely driven by certain types of activities, including Texans congregating in bars. He said bars can still do delivery and takeout.
I know none of us wanted to go backwards, but we've got to do everything we can to keep this virus under control.
Fort Worth allergist Dr. Susan Bailey is the president of the American Medical Association. She explained that talking loudly in close quarters with no masks is behavior that's ripe for COVID-19 transmission.
So unfortunately, bars and clubs and indoor spaces like that seem to be the perfect environment to spread the virus, and it's almost impossible to contain there.
What sucks is we actually bought a lot of face masks to hand out to guests and getting everything set up, and then they pull the plug. I mean, give us a chance. Give us a chance to stand on our feet.
It's now unclear when that chance will come. In Fort Worth, I'm Lauren Zakalik.
Under Governor Abbott's order, outdoor gatherings of more than 100 people must be approved by local authorities, but churches and religious services will be allowed to remain without any capacity limit. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Dallas announced weeks ago that Sunday masses could resume in person this weekend, but now Bishop Edward Burns says the decision will be left up to individual parishes. The governor will join me today on News 8 at 6. We will discuss what pushed him to reverse the reopenings in Texas and more of the latest developments in the fight against COVID-19. That's in little less than an hour at 6. There are close to 5,700 new cases in Texas today. Dallas County hit a record 496, and Tarrant County added 343. One of the biggest concerns is protecting hospital space right now, and that doesn't look good either. There are more than 5,100 hospital patients as we speak. And take a look at this chart to put some of these numbers into perspective. For Texas to go from 0 cases to 50,000 cases, it took 76 days. To go from 50,000 to 100,000, 31 days. If the next few days go like the past few, we will have gone from 100,000 to 150,000 cases in just about 11 to 12 days. And with all these cases, testing is more important than ever. And after bipartisan pushback, federal funding for 5 of the 7 coronavirus testing sites in Texas will be extended. It was scheduled to end this Tuesday. Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins says the site at the Ellis Davis Fieldhouse will go from 500 per day to 1,000 tests a day. A new drive-through testing site will be created at the University of Dallas in Irving to replace the one at the American Airlines Center. All right, let's get to Jason Whiteley now, who is joined by Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins.
Cynthia, thanks a lot. Clearly the numbers are not going the way that Dallas County wants them to go. The county judge is here. Clay, good to see you again. Let's start with those record number of cases that were announced today. You told me a few weeks ago that modeling from UT Southwestern shows that Dallas County could get up to 800 cases a day in the summer. I'm curious now, what do the latest models predict?
Well, I haven't seen the latest models. Clearly things are not going our way, and we need to act decisively. I've called on the governor to shut bars. I'm glad he did that. We also need to do a statewide face mask requirement like we've got here in Dallas County. We need to limit crowd size to 10 people or less statewide. And we need to close those businesses where people cannot wear their mask 100% of the time from in-person experiences. So restaurants can still have takeout, but it's just not safe right now. They go to places where you can't wear that mask 100% of the time.
Judge, if the governor did not yank away authority from local county judges like yourself, where do you think Dallas County would be today?
Well, according to the models, we'd have a few dozen cases a day if we had followed the CDC guidelines suggested, and then we'd have our economy partially opened back up. I think under the plan, the doctors projected that by July 1, we'd be completely open and at green, but you never know, right? I mean, the world is uncertain. What we do know is when you throw away the CDC playbook and you refuse to talk to the doctors who are at the hospitals actually treating people, bad things happen, and that's what we've seen here.
And the governor obviously, with that announcement, closed bars and reduced restaurant capacity to 50%. How's that going to be enforced? Is that sheriff's deputies out and about in all these counties or what?
Well, that'll largely be the state TABC enforcing that. That'll also be up to county and city code compliance to check on those capacities. But look, our businesses are incredibly conscientious. They've done what they've been asked to do. They would have followed the requirements that they were under from March through April had the governor not removed all those requirements, and they'll follow them again, but it's time for decisive action. We don't have any time to wait, Jason. The numbers that you see today are a snapshot of where we were 5 to 14 days ago, according to Dr. Fauci. They're not a realistic snapshot of what's on the ground today. So,
obviously.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Judge, a lot of us have little ones at home, and I'm curious, with the start of school, in-person classes 6 weeks away, do you think it's realistic that Dallas schools or districts in Dallas, rather, should delay their in-person openings come August?
Well, I think the schools need to discuss that. We need to put the children's health ahead of the desire to get all the parents back to work. You know, it is important that the children have a place to go so parents can work, but we've got to keep our kids safe. So what that means right now, if your kid's in daycare, you need to demand that the daycare do masking for kids over 2. They need to be with their group and not sharing playground and lunch with other groups in the daycare. And most of their activities need to be outside. I've asked the governor to institute those rules. Those were the rules we had here, but he took those away too. And
then last question for you. If you were to pick up the phone right now and call the governor, what would you ask him? What would you tell the governor right now?
I would say, as I've said for the last 2 months, sit down and talk to the local health leaders in Dallas and Harris County and Bexar and Travis County. Listen to what they say and then take their advice, act decisively on their advice. They've trained their entire adult lives for this moment. We need to listen to them.
All right, Judge Jenkins, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cynthia, back to you.
All right, Jason, thank you. And Tarrant County's new mask ordinance goes in effect in a little less than an hour. Anyone going into a business or to an outdoor event of more than 100 people must wear a mask. If not, those businesses or organizations could be fined. Now, Colleyville announced it would not enforce Tarrant County's mask order. Even though the order is from the county, it's up to cities to enforce. Colleyville is hosting a large fireworks show tonight called Stars and Guitars. Masks are not required. The Supreme Court is rejecting the bid from Texas Democrats to expand voting by mail to all Texas voters. The request was to allow people who are concerned about the coronavirus pandemic to vote without risking their health. Currently, mail-in ballots are available only if voters are 65 or older, cite a disability or illness, or will be out of the county during the election. President Trump is already reacting to this ruling on Twitter. He just tweeted, Big win in Texas on mail-in ballots. If you fly on American Airlines, brace yourself for a crowd. The Fort Worth-based carrier says flights may be booked to capacity starting July 1st. American will continue to allow you to move to more open flights when available with no fee, and it's extending change fee waivers through the end of September. So back to our question, what do you think about the governor's executive order? And here are the results so far. 4% of you say leave the bars open. 12% of you say the right move, and the majority, 84% of you, nearly 1,000 of you voting in the last few minutes, say it's too little, too late. Thanks for voting. Still ahead, a powerful message is taking over Main Street in Fort Worth, and it's creating a lot of conversation.
And it's hot and humid out there, and it's only going to continue to get worse as we go into the weekend. We'll have a full look at your weekend forecast coming up.